Happy Monday. I think the mics are all on. I think we're okay here. Thank you so very much for tuning in to 98.3. Let me switch that camera here. I want to see my pretty face when we start this show. Thanks again for tuning in to 98.3 FM. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Marty Jalove. This is Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. I don't know why I'm starting the show so crazy today. None of the buttons seem to be in the right place. Anyway, I come at you every single Monday night here at 7 o'clock to talk about your job, your career, your vision made clear, the skills that you hone for the business that you own, the ups and downs, the smiles and frowns, where you're at and where you're bound. If you miss any of today's episode, and this is going to be a great episode, you're really going to want to hear the entire thing from start to end. If you miss any bit of it, tune in later in the week to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, tune into my YouTube channel, etc. Because I got an incredible guest here. This guest here is somebody I met not too long ago, but fun guy, very intelligent. We're going to talk about something really special. So I'm going to get us started off. I'm going to call today's show Fire and Flourish: How Firefighters Find Joy in the Heat of It All. Behind every siren is a story. Behind every helmet is a human. And behind every long smoke-filled shift is a firefighter searching for the same thing we all want. And that is just a little bit of happiness. So without further ado, I want to introduce my new friend, Mike Rutkowski, the Deputy Chief of Lake Zurich Fire Department. Did I get that right, Mike?
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you. So, Mike, is there tell us a little bit about just in general, how many fire departments, how many firefighters are in Lake Zurich, anything like that. So we learn a little bit what it is you're doing.
Yeah. So we have 4 stations, 56 firefighters, 12 or actually 13 on duty every day. So we run 3 at each station, and then our shift commander, that's a captain. Last year we ran just over 5,000 calls for service. It's a great organization, a great community. We're a little bit interesting in our dynamic where we all work for the village of Lake Zurich, but we're surrounded by the Lake Zurich Rural Fire Protection District. So they contract to the village for fire and EMS services. So we don't just cover Lake Zurich, we cover parts of Hawthorne Woods, Killdeer, Deer Park, unincorporated parts of Lake County, North Barrington. So it's a pretty diverse group. It's great communities to work for, and I love it.
I'm going to add something to this, is that I love the whole group of the men and women who are the firefighters in Lake Zurich. That's a little near and dear to my heart because that's my hometown. I love it because you see the trucks go by, no matter what happens, they're always there willing to wave at you guys, big smiles on your faces. I feel very at ease, very peaceful in Lake Zurich, knowing you guys are there. So, Mike, tell me a little bit about your title, what it is you do. Like, what makes you the big wig?
Well, I'm the second wig. I'm not the biggest wig in the group. We are led by Chief Pilgard. So I'm the Deputy Chief of Operations, which means I am the Deputy Chief that gets to have all the fun, because I do the fun. I do the cool things. I get to go on all the calls. I deal with training. I deal with apparatus. And there's some policy stuff that we deal with, but I don't do all the personnel stuff. We have a deputy of admin that handles most of that. So like I said, I think I have the best job on the fire department. It's a lot of fun, and I like the position.
They send you on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. So I want to, Mike, I don't know how familiar you are with the show. You told me you listened to the show. Of all the shows, you listened to the last one, but the Ribbon Show, which ribbons and firefighters, they go hand in hand, right? That's it. So perfect. But we have this one part of the show that I use as a loose outline for the show. It's the reason we call this Bacon Bits. We'll see if you really know the tagline, Mike. Sure. So I'm going to put you to the test here. Is the reason the show is called Bacon Bits is because everything that bacon touches becomes just a little bit better. I mean, we wrap steaks with bacon. We put bacon next to eggs. We put bacon in salads. We put bacons on bacons. We put bacon on baked potatoes. Everything bacon touches just makes it a little bit better. So that's what the show is about, is making every part of our life just a little bit better. But of course, we're not talking about the bacon for chewing. You know the line, Mike? No, he doesn't. We're not talking about the bacon for chewing. We're talking about the bacon for doing. That's all right, Mike. I didn't expect you to really know that.
I figured it should have rhymed with chewing. Yeah, so exactly. It's my bad.
You were close. All right. That's okay. All right. So what we do is I do a little acronym, B.A.C.O.N, to kind of use as the loose outline for the show. And so today, our loose outline, and we'll touch on this, and sometimes we'll repeat a letter back and forth, and you'll hear us talking about one subject, another subject, etc. We might miss something. We might go on some cool tangent. Mike might get a call and have to leave in the middle of it. You never know. He doesn't even have a car. He drove a fire truck here today. This is awesome. Okay. So our bacon today, how we bring home the bacon here is B is boundaries. Firefighters, I truly believe, have to learn how to leave the stress behind. They have to build rituals in order to be able to do that. A is appreciate the small stuff. When we always talk about the hard times we have, it can't compare to some of the hard times that I think firefighters have got to go through. And we're going to maybe hear a little bit more about that. C is we have to connect. That is being able to talk to our fellow firefighters, share that meal, etc., to share what we're going through. O, the only way that works is we open up. We have to be able to share what's going, how we're feeling, etc. And then N is never forget your why. Okay. And so I want to jump into this before we go into any further. That N about never forget your why is Mike. You're going to also realize that I ask a lot of questions, that I didn't give you an outline. I didn't tell you what we're going to talk about. I just kind of told you this is the day in the life of a firefighter, right?
Yep. No prep.
Right.
So how I like it like that.
All right, good. Because then you're going to love the show. So what is your why? What would made you choose this career path?
So I got into this by dumb luck, actually. So when I was younger, I was the kid that rode his bike down to construction sites, and I loved watching road work. And my whole purpose in life, I thought, was to work for a company where I was digging in the dirt and building houses and subdivisions. And I graduated from college with a degree in construction management. And my first job out of college was working for a company called Lake County Grading. So I pretty much felt like I punched my ticket coming out of college. I loved the job. And then when I was at home, I had a friend of mine that said, at night, you're not really doing too much. You're living at home with your folks. Why don't you just get on the fire department? It's fun. They pay for your training. It gives you something to do. And I thought, yeah, sure. Why not? I'll give it a shot. And I really found my purpose and my why in the fire service. Like I said, it was just incredible luck. I tested for about 3 years while I worked at Lake County Gradings, worked as a part-time fireman in Grays Lake. And then I got hired in 99. I tested high enough to get hired. I came home from work one day after our fire chief at the time gave me the phone call to give me the job offer. And I told my wife, I thought I was going to do this career change. And she said, I think you're absolutely insane. I don't think this is a good idea. And I said, hey, don't worry. If things don't work out, I can always go back to my job in the construction industry. And I never looked back. I mean, I got so many tremendous opportunities, met some great people, and I've done some really awesome and incredible things, all because of the fire service. And I'm truly grateful for that.
That is awesome. That's an amazing transformation from construction into firefighting. What is there a trend of what other firefighters usually do or where they head to? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people young. They say, I want to be a firefighter. This is what I want to go for. And they study. But is there a trend that you see? Anything?
I think in my era, you had a lot of people that were in the trades that got into the fire service. And I don't really know why. Maybe it just kind of resonated. I think part of it is, we have some great opportunities in the fire service. So I think people in the trades looked into that and were like, well, I can still work my job as a firefighter, and on my days off, I can still work in the trades. So it's a great opportunity for them to make like a second living and support their families. I don't really think that, I bet it's probably a minority of people that really, as they grew up, said, I truly want to be a firefighter. That's not really the story that we hear. I think now what you hear is kids that come out of college and, it's just an opportunity for them to go into a career path. So I think it's just a little bit different of a perspective, but we had a lot of blue collar people that came into the fire service in my era and even before me. And now it's just a different generation. So it's creating a unique culture for us right now.
I'm liking it a lot. So let's just jump right into this whole thing. Here is first question. This whole first section I want to talk about is joy in hard times. Okay. I really look upon this as, like I mentioned a little bit before, that I was dealing with a group earlier today, a group that I was doing some sales training. And I said, think about how we let something like the barista got my coffee order wrong, how we let something like that ruin our entire day, right? And when you do a comparison of I lost everything I own, let alone lives, okay, but I lost all my possessions, everything in a house fire, right? So this whole idea of joy in hard times is, how have you seen other firefighters do this whole thing of continue to smile after a long shift? Like, what do you do?
I mean, that's the ironic part of our job is our whole service is built around serving somebody on their worst day, and that's kind of for us is that's the whole reason that we do this. That's our purpose. So it's this odd dynamic that you have when you do go to a house fire or a medical call or a car accident where there's some significant loss. Is like, yeah, man, we really got after that one. That was a good fire. You know, we got to save, or we did really good job on an extrication, and you have to sit back and kind of think a little bit with some perspective afterwards and think, wow, this was probably the worst day that's this person's ever experienced in their life. And I think for me, the purpose is helping them get through that next phase is like, yeah, this is terrible. It's really bad, you know, especially like a house fire. You lose almost everything you own. And a lot of times we can give them the positive that nobody got hurt. You know, we got everybody out, everybody's safe. You're going to go to a hotel, get you set up and get you established, and you get a chance to rebuild your life, as challenging as that might be. And I really don't know. I'm always on the other side of the perspective, but still, you know, just giving some of the opportunity to transition and get them to really truly understand, like, okay, it's going to be all right. We'll get you through this.
Wow. So how much of that secondary part are you guys involved in? Like you said, getting them to a hotel and stuff like that. How much of that are you involved in? I just figure there was another group that came in and took care of them like that.
There is, but there's a really good handoff from us. And I think in Lake Zurich, we do a very good job of it to make sure that we really care for our community and the people that are in need. And there's a good transition. And you know, we call it resident services or, you know, community service, community risk reduction. It's a whole nother chapter, a different part of our industry. But it's really important for us to give them that avenue or that vehicle to get to the next step of really rebuilding some of their life sometimes.
Wow. I love that whole idea, and I can attest to that. I like how you said it's the handoff. One of the things I really treasure about living in Lake Zurich is just that the departments, the police department, the fire department, utilities, you know, everyone like that, they just really have great attitudes towards each other. It's a really great family atmosphere. It's like I'm doing a postcard for Lake Zurich here. All right. So a little lesson I just want everyone to do when we talk about how do we smile after a long shift is this. Tonight, go home, write down 3 small things that made you smile today. I think it's really important that we do this on a regular basis. Do it for 1 week even. And just at the end of a week, kind of look at this and start realizing there are so many great things out there, right? You don't need to necessarily see the horrific things in order to appreciate the nice things. But just every night before you go to bed, just write down a couple of things that brought you a little joy, a little happiness. And I think it will change your outlook across the line. Now, Mike, I'm going to get back to this whole stress thing. Is there is stress from home? There is stress from just being a person, you know, going out grocery shopping. There's stress from the office, everything like that. And you've got different lives. You know, you've got your home life, your play life, your work life, etc. How do you manage leaving stress at one place and not allowing it to carry over to the other one?
Okay. I think for us in the fire service, the lines get blurred quite a bit because, you know, you have your family at home, but you develop this family and this culture at work that sometimes when you're on shift and you're really busy and working some overtime shifts, you might spend more time with those people at work than you do with your family and your you know, your partners and kids at home. So it's a very interesting, once again, it's a very interesting dynamic that you build these relationships, and those people that are your coworkers actually become more like family to you. And then you're doing stuff with your family at home and people from the fire department. And it's like, it just becomes this, I guess, really big family and cultural piece where we do more stuff together as the firefighting community than we do, you know, meeting people off the street. It's just a very, you know, once again, it's that family, that close culture, you know, we're there for each other all the time. And it really just extends into our family lives. There's not much when you're on shift with a bunch of people that you don't know about everybody else and what they're going through at home.
Well, you're literally sleeping with them. You're eating with them. You're doing everything with them, right? Right.
Yeah, that's our sacred time is the kitchen table.
Yeah,
That's where we have our, you know, deepest conversations. We might argue it out. We share meals together. We laugh. We make fun of each other. But that's the sacred place in the firehouse, is the kitchen table.
Yeah, I love this a lot. You know, I'll be honest. Most businesses should really learn something from that. I coach a lot of businesses and find out that people are just like dying to get out of there. The bell rings and they're hitting their car, they're gone. The weekend comes, they're like, I just want to leave this place and not even think about work until Monday again. And the family atmosphere, the camaraderie, the brotherhood and sisterhood that goes on in a firehouse has got to be so incredibly strong. And it exemplifies this idea that we tend to find people with similar interests and we gravitate to them. You know, there's always this joke about watching couples get together at somebody's house. And generally speaking, please don't write letters. Nobody here at the station reads them. But generally speaking, the guys will get together someplace, maybe in the garage or something like that, and the women get together in the kitchen. Generally speaking, okay. And so it's what happens is it's people they gravitate towards what there's some familiarity to it, right? And so I think that's part of this brotherhood and sisterhood of the firehouse is that you all found the same profession, and it's a dramatic profession. You know, sometimes I'm sure that sometimes it can get a little boring too. All right. We'll see. All right. Good. I don't mean to downplay it. I'm just guessing. I'm not a fireman. I'm not the fireman type. I'm more of the go get them boys type. Yeah. Okay. But I still think that there's a lot there that pulls you guys all together. And I think it's really cool. I think that one of the lessons that everyone, again, I like to throw in these lessons for people is to kind of understand something. And that is, if you find yourself in a stressful work environment, stressful home environment, whatever the deal is, if it's very serious, go find help. But if it's not just that serious, don't let that carry from one place to another. Use that doorway as a way to leave the old world behind, and you're entering another doorway. Let that other place be your escape, your Disneyland, let's call it. Okay. And I think that we need to, as individuals, build some type of a ritual to say, my shift is over. Okay. So when I leave work, if I've just been stressed at work, you got to be able to say, my shift is over. I'm home. I'm going to spend time with my family, my kids, my spouse, my loved ones, and just enjoy that. And then I'm going to go back to work. But I think sometimes we need to be able to have that little switch in our life. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you definitely have to have a transition, and there are plenty of times, I'm sure my wife could tell you, where I came in at 7:00, or our shift change was at 7. I'd come in the house at 7:30, 8:00 in the morning, and she pretty much knew, probably by the way I turned the handle on the doorknob, if it was going to be a good day or at home or a rough day. And you do carry a lot home with you. I mean, there's the baggage of calls and people's personal lives and things that you go through in the fire service that you can't help but sometimes bring it home. As hard as you try to shake it off, it's just kind of part of the job.
Right. So what I'd like to do is, I got a bunch of other questions, but one of the things that's happening new in Lake Zurich that I want to talk about, and I want to just get your input on this, is we're talking about a new firehouse, a new fire facility, I'm going to call it, because it's much bigger, better. Can you tell us a little bit about it? What to expect, and let me ask you this too. Do a comparison to what your guys are living in currently to what we can expect.
So I would compare it to right now we're driving a 1984 Ford Escort.
Okay.
And we're going to upgrade to maybe a new Chevy Tahoe or a GMC Yukon.
Nice.
So, it's not the Cadillac. It's going to be an amazing facility, and we're very, very happy and very appreciative. It's going to be in a great location right on the south end of downtown. They're doing a tremendous amount of work downtown to really revitalize it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And that's, it's going to kind of be like this gateway into downtown. And I'm really excited about the location. And I guess on the business data side, it does improve our response times a little bit, but it's going to be a fantastic building. And I think it really is going to represent Lake Zurich and the communities we serve very well.
So, I've talked with you before. As far as I'm concerned, is whatever you guys need, just get it done. I've seen the station, I've seen older stations, I've seen nicer stations and that. But I think everyone's got to remember, you guys are living there, right? You're living there. Somebody's there 24 hours a day, right? So we're talking beds, bathrooms, locker rooms. You're doing laundry there. You're eating there, all this kind of stuff. And it's got to be when you say there, somebody goes, well, it's got to be at least, like housable. It's got to be like an apartment. How about making it a little bit nicer? Because these are the guys who are going to come run to my house to save all of my possessions, and that's why I want your house to be a little bit nicer. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So tell me what are some of the nightmares in your current station?
I mean, pretty much the infrastructure is kind of crumbling around us a little bit. I mean, we have plumbing issues, electrical issues. It was built in the late 70s, took occupancy in the 80s. So it really wasn't even built to support any kind of new technology. And the amount that we're using right now, the building is really challenging to work with. It limits our operational abilities. We're maxed out on storage just for people and for equipment. We'd love to get some new apparatus and hire some more people, but unfortunately, right now, we just don't have the space to put them. So that new facility over time, and I mean, we know this isn't all going to happen overnight.
No.
But we're projecting over time that we'll get some more people and some more staff to help with the call volume that's always increasing. We'll get some new apparatus, which we're really excited about, and now we'll have a great facility to put it all.
Gotcha. And right there in Lake Zurich, not too far from my home, they're building more townhomes. They're always building on Rand Road. They're building more, more buildings. It'll be places for people to live, restaurants, etc. And so I agree with you. As the town grows, we need that type of support in the background. And I've got to believe that a nicer firehouse is going to attract greater talent too. And I don't know, you might say, I don't know what I'm talking about. And you wouldn't be the first one.
No, no. Well, people tell me I don't know what I'm talking about either. So I might be in the same boat as you on this one. But no, I think it does help and hurt our recruitment a little bit. If there's equal opportunity as far
Sure.
as pay and demographics and call volume and types of calls and stuff like that, people might look at our facilities and be like, you know what? I think I might want to go to a place that's got a little bit nicer of a firehouse to live in or more staffing. So there's a lot of different reasons why people choose. And I guess that's, it's hard for me nowadays because when I got into and I'm sounding like an old guy
That's all right.
talking about how, back in the,
In
old days,
days, right?
Yeah, I didn't carry water uphill both ways, but,
Yeah.
when I got hired, it was, you were taking a test with a couple hundred people, maybe 300-400 people at a shot. And the fire chief would get up and say, yeah, we might hire one, or we don't even really know if we're going to hire anybody. And now it's completely different. The script is completely flipped to where now, people that are getting into the fire service, they have an opportunity to test and get hired almost anywhere they want to. Our recruitment numbers are really low. I don't know if there's really a reason that we could pinpoint.
Okay.
But it is really low. It's challenging for us where, 30 years ago when I started doing this, it was completely the opposite. It was challenging for the people who were trying to get a job in the fire service to actually get hired. So when you got that first phone call and you took it, you didn't really care who, what, when, where, why. You took the job and you made a career out of it, where now people have options. So it's just different, and we have to adapt to the new culture.
Gotcha. All right. So I'm going to expand upon this for those people who don't really know Lake Zurich. The first part of Lake Zurich is lake. We have a lake there, right? And it's a beautiful lake. It's not Lake Michigan. It's not that big, but it's a big enough lake. So the fire department, you've got like a water rescue section. So you've got that. What other kind of specialty departments would people not realize exist that we've got there in Lake Zurich?
So we have a hazard. So under the umbrella of Lake County, Mavis Division 4. So we pool our resources together, but each individual department supports the overall mission of what in mutual aid box alarm, what their overall goal is. So each department has a certain number of, like, we have hazmat techs that can deal with hazardous material mitigation. We have people that do technical rescue, where they do rope rescue, trench, confined space, structural collapse. We investigate all of our own fires, and then we can request assistance from neighboring communities. We have a group of folks that do wildland firefighting. We know every year there's some part of Lake County that has some catastrophic swamp that catches on fire, and that's our folks that are specially trained to go in and take care of those incidents and mitigate them. So there's a lot of people that have different specialties, and that's the nice thing about Lake Zurich. And what I'm very appreciative of our staff is everybody's involved in something. We do have a couple of people that are like, I'm just happy being a blue shirt and I want to drive the fire engine and make a career out of it. But the motivation to be a part of something bigger than just the day-to-day is, it's extremely passionate in Lake Zurich. And I'm very grateful for that.
That's cool. I'm glad you expanded upon the different departments there, because I think in the back of our minds, because thank God, we don't have to call the fire department every day, right? I live in a nice area. I see the fire department. I drive by. I see the trucks. I'm always waving at the guys. I see them. I get to talk to them at our block party when they show up. Always really friendly guys. Just a great time. Uh, and so sometimes I think people, especially in the suburbs, view the fire department as, they're not doing anything. They're just sitting there, right? I see them washing the truck again, right? And it's that type of thing. And we forget about that. You have to always be prepared, always ready for when that bell rings. And you've got all this other stuff. It's not just, it's a kitchen fire. No, we've got industrial buildings around there. You've got like, after the show, I'm going to ask you more about these swamp fires. Okay. But you've got all kinds of stuff, not to mention all the stuff that goes on being a lake community. So there's so much that's going on in Lake Zurich and these surrounding communities. That's why these fire departments are so very important.
Yeah, and I mean 70% of our call volume is EMS, so we're all paramedics. So on top of just fighting fires, I mean we're going to somebody's house in an ambulance. So we're all cross-trained to do whatever job comes up when the community needs it.
Wow. I didn't even bring up the EMS, but you're absolutely right. Okay. All right. So we only got a couple minutes left to the bottom of the hour. So I'm going to ask you another question here. I'm going to dig into this a little bit. Then we're going to take a momentary break and be right back. So this whole idea of life lessons from the job, how has, I mean, you came from construction. How has handling emergencies changed your daily view of life? I know that's a tough one.
No, I mean, it's not tough. I mean, I think in certain respects, it kind of calluses you where you look at the small things. They're not that big of a deal. I mean, and maybe it's just the perspective that we've seen things on a scale that the general population doesn't get exposed to. But, at the end of the day, I'm, sometimes kind of like your point about having the barista make the wrong cup of coffee for you. It's like, man, those are high bottom problems, and I think it's just the perspective that you don't, like I said, the general population doesn't see what we see on a day-to-day basis. And I'm not saying we're burning houses down every day and, cutting people out of cars every day, but the times that it does happen, you kind of realize and take a different perspective that like, so what, somebody's going to screw up your cup of coffee. It's not really that big of a deal because there's always worse.
I love that perspective. That is exactly what it's all about. No matter what you do for a living, no matter where you live, whatever you do, don't sweat the small stuff. And there's a book about that. Don't sweat the small stuff. And then you realize it's all small stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So please don't go away. I'm going to play a couple messages and we're going to be right back with Deputy Chief Mike Rutkowski from the Lake Zurich Fire Department. So please hold on. Hey, and welcome back. Thanks so much for staying tuned in to 98.3 The Life. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. I'm your host, Marty Jalove, and I got a great guest today. This first half an hour has been absolutely tremendous. I'm already learning a lot. This whole idea here is I'm talking to Mike Rutkowski, the Deputy Chief of the Lake Zurich Fire Department, and we're just talking about the kind of the day in the life of a firefighter. It's more like the life of a firefighter, not just a day, but also how we deal with stress, how what we can learn from firefighters, and the direction we can go, and the little hints and secrets. So we just kind of left off talking a little bit about how dealing with emergencies affects the rest of our lives, or what did we change and stuff. And I loved, Mike, the way you talked about just that same little thing is it's all small stuff. You really realize we spend too much time worrying about these little tiny things. And I always joke about the barista getting my coffee wrong, as opposed to, the house caught on fire. Right. And I think there's a lot to that we need to learn from. And I think the question we need to keep asking ourselves when we are sitting there facing a problem, will this matter in a year? Right. And you're going to realize, man, even if, and Mike, please, I hope that you agree with me this, even if I lose everything, my house, all my possessions, but my family is okay. And I say, will this matter in a year? It'll suck that all that stuff is gone, but my family is okay. So Mike, again, is there anything you want to add to that in case people just joined us at the half an hour mark?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that has always kept me grounded is this mantra, and I think it's somewhat consistent in the fire service, is faith, family, and Firehouse, and that's kind of the order of priority in your life. And as long as you keep those things, in that same order of importance, you're going to go in the right direction, and you have to put some priority over your family. And I'm as guilty as a lot
Sure.
of people in my profession and others. Probably where I struggled is I had such a deep, and I still do, I have such a deep passion for the firehouse and for the fire service and we talked about that a lot of times becomes your second family is like, man, I kind of forgot about my wife and kids at home. I should probably go back and see how they're doing. They might want to see my face, but when you have that culture that you really just love and the people that you love and that you meet, and I mean, I've had friends for life. We're going on a fishing trip next week, and it's 10 guys and our kids are all firefighters.
Wow.
So it's, and we've been going on this trip for a while, and these are people that I've met throughout my career, and we've become lifelong friends, not only professionally, but personally as well. So, but yeah, that perspective of the faith family and Firehouse really
I
kind of
like that.
keeps me going in the right direction.
Okay. So getting back to that, because like you said, we're spending so much time with our family at the firehouse. What is the shift looking like? How many hours at the firehouse? How much off?
So our firefighters are on shift work 24/48. So they're 24 on, 48 hours off. We've been kind of short staffed here for a couple years. We've had some injuries. So, the guys are working a lot of overtime. So a lot of times, it's common to work 48 hours and have 24 off. They're getting forced back, and that is always a interruption on your personal life, because no one likes it when you wake up the next day and your shift commander, your battalion chief comes up and is like, "Hey man, you can't come home today. You got to stick around and
Oh,
work the next 24." And, guys it's life, right? I mean, people have kids' birthdays, and it's Christmas, and it's, I'm supposed to go out on a date night with my wife because I've been working so much last month. I mean, it interrupts your personal life. So we try and be as respectful and cognizant as people of their personal lives as we can. But sometimes it's just the firehouse gets in the way of some of our personal lives.
yeah, yeah. And getting back to the kind of things that can stress you out. I think that type of thing is exactly what we're talking about. In my mind, is really not knowing when I'm going to be going home. I mean, having an idea, that loose schedule. And think about this, like anyone out there who has just, let's call it a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, you have your weekends off. As a firefighter, you're like, yeah, maybe I got part of my weekend this time, and in a month I'll have another weekend, and it just falls all over the place. My brother Joe, who's been on the show, is a retired firefighter for the city of Chicago. He did air water rescue,
Yeah.
and I remember him opening up his planner and show me the days he was working and the days he was off. And he was like, "Look, I only have so many Fridays, like in a given month." He goes, "If I give you one, that gives me one more to give to somebody else, right?" And so it was interesting because there's a whole different dynamic compared to us working Monday through Friday and saying, "Hey, we got the rest of the weekend off." And he's like, "No, I'm still working."
Yeah.
All right.
It took my mom 20 years. I was on shift for 20 years. It took her 20 years to figure out my shift schedule. I've been off shift for 6, and she still says, "So are you working today?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Nice.
mom, it's the weekday. I don't work on the weekends anymore." So yeah, I totally get it.
Okay. All right. So let's get back into this. The life lessons from the job is, how do you find gratitude after a scary call or just any call? How do you find gratitude when you see somebody like who's lost so much? How does it go back to you? And it's you, and it's plus maybe other people in the firehouse. You really like something you've seen where they're able to grasp gratitude.
Yeah, I think one way that I find some gratitude or some solace in the whole process is that ability to get people to understand, like, it's going to be okay. And we see people at their worst moments.
Yeah.
So it's really hard, but to get people to understand that, it's going to be all right. We'll get you through this. And then to see our guys, just excel on calls and come back to the firehouse, and they're grateful for the opportunity to serve. I think that's where really I get my, I guess my purpose in all this is just the ability to serve the communities. I really love it, whether it's on a call or whether it's a block party, like you said, or going to a community event. I mean, we do standbys at the high school. I think being present and involved in the community, it not only shows support for them, but it supports our guys too, because they get the opportunity to interact with the people they serve.
Gotcha. Gotcha. You know what? As you're talking now, it was going through my head. What I kind of like about this is you do get some immediate gratitude when you do a job. The job is, for the most part, over. It's done, right? Whether it's you worked, hours and hours putting out a fire, or it's 15 minutes getting a cat out of a tree. Okay, do you guys still get cats out of trees? Not too
anymore.
often.
No.
All right. Okay. The cats just forgot how to climb. Okay. Anyway, whether the job is small, large, whatever, I think it's interesting because you get completion. And I think there's other people who have jobs where they're like, I'm working on this project. I'm going to work on it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys, other than the new firehouse, obviously, do you have other projects that are extended that you're saying, hey, this is something we're working on. That'll be a 6-month project, 8-month, 2-year project, something like that. And let's just say whether it adds joy or stress to your life.
Yeah. So building new fire apparatus right now there are significant lead times in the delivery up to, some 4 and 5 years long, where if you take 10 years ago, you're buying, you put in an order for a fire engine and you're going to get it in 6 to 9 months. Well, today, if we put in an order for a fire engine and we might not see it until 2032, 2031.
Really?
So yeah, it's
that's
and it's a lot of hours and a lot of time that goes into building these things. It's not just like you go to the Chevy dealer and
right.
pick
And they don't
something
have
off
like 10 on the lot, right?
No, not at all. I mean, there are some programs that give you the opportunity to pick up demo units, but they're few and far between. So when you're putting the effort and time into building an apparatus and then the cost along with it,
yeah,
to not even see that for 4 years, I mean, it's kind of an odd feeling. And then all of a sudden it shows up and you're like, oh yeah, I guess we did work on that a while ago.
Wow. So you might actually have somebody fighting for it, working on it, designing it, who retires before it shows up. Right?
Never see it. Yep.
Never see it. That's why. Do you bring them in just for one, the one ride?
We always encourage it, but
exactly.
Sometimes they take us up on the offer, sometimes not.
All right. With that, I got to ask you about the tools. I got to ask you about the tools. To me, every time the fire truck comes to my neighborhood for the block party, I am fascinated by the tools. They're the best. I want to pull some of those things out and just cut something, but I don't think I could lift half the tools. So tell me, what are some of the coolest tools? And I mean, I understand they're all life-saving tools, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the coolest tools that you saw that you were like, wow, this one?
I think right now, so our extrication equipment right now has probably made the biggest strides in technology probably over the last 10 to 12 years. So we used to have, everybody's heard the Jaws of Life.
Yeah.
And it was invented by Hearst, the transmission company.
Gotcha.
And they used to use it in race cars to help drivers get out of cars that crash. So it got into the fire service. And we used to have this big pump that ran hydraulic hoses, and the tool was super, super heavy. I mean, I think the spreaders alone weighed like 60 or 70 pounds. They were super heavy. And now they're powered by Milwaukee batteries, the same ones that you see on your cordless drill.
Really?
Yeah, they're totally portable. You can run them underwater. I think just about every brand now, most of the brands, you can run underwater. They're super light. They're super easy to use. And they still have the same, actually now they have more force, more cutting force and spreading force than the tools
with those batteries.
Yeah,
wow.
It's an internal pump. But I would say that's probably, over my career, one of the things I've seen the most advancement in. And the other thing's the air pack. Nobody wants to breathe smoke. So there's been a lot of advances in that. Turnout gear has completely changed. When I first started, we had these old turtle shell helmets, and even not many generations before me, they had the long coats and the tall boots. They didn't even have pants. So for kids,
oh wow,
for people coming in the fire service today, they're like, "So you guys never wore pants?" And they're like, "No, you just had a long coat and tall boots."
Right.
But yeah, I think those are some of the big things. A lot of hand tools are just made lighter and easier to operate. But for me, I think the most impactful has probably been the extra.
Okay. Wow. That's some great stuff there. I really, what killed me is the truck came over and I was standing on one side of the truck and I was talking to the firefighter in our neighborhood, for the block party. And I'm with some other dads. We're looking at tools, we're talking. They left and I was like, he never took anything out. Like I wanted to lift it out. Right. And as they left, my wife goes, oh my God, we got to play with so many tools. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, the other side, that firefighter was taking everything down. I was like, I never even thought there was another side here. Yeah. So I might have to take a trip to the firehouse. Just
take one. Tools. We just got some new thermal imaging cameras. So we're really excited about those. I mean, now they're like the size of a cell phone, and
Nice.
it gives you just as good of an image as the ones that were.
That's
20 pounds
awesome.
20
That's
years
awesome.
ago.
Okay, so Mike, you said now you have children. Are your children grown? What's your ages?
Yeah, so my son is 28 years old. Actually, he's a fireman here in Round Lake.
Nice.
And then I have 3
Is he,
girls.
you think he's listening? Did you tell him?
I didn't tell him about it, but I'll let him know. You know,
when the recording comes, you let him know. You did good, so he'll be proud of you.
We like to gossip, so I'm sure the word's going to spread fast. Once somebody hears that I'm on this, that he'll probably tune in and listen.
I'm going to put posters up in the firehouse. Okay,
right. Just go down the end of the street.
Right.
He doesn't work till tomorrow, so you have to catch him tomorrow morning.
All right.
And then I have 3 girls. So my daughter is Molly's 26. She lives down in Lincoln Park. And then Maggie and Kate still live at home. The older 2 girls are working as nannies right now, getting ready to go back. They both want to get their masters in nursing.
Nice.
And then our youngest Kate she's just starting her sophomore year in college.
Very, very cool. So growing up as a father who was a firefighter, who was there like at the station and then like not there and then back at home and stuff like that. How did you teach your kids joy? How did you find for them to go, look, I've got this, we've got this pocket of time we're together. And so we want to make this count. How did you teach them to really capitalize on joy?
I think it was just like you said, sometimes we just had these little pockets of time to spend together as a family. And our goal was just to get the most out of it that we possibly could. And just to be grateful for the fact that we got to hang around each other. And, going back to that family culture at the firehouse, I mean, it's great to have my kids come up and visit. And
that's neat.
Yeah, it was just like that with everybody else. The kids would come visit on birthdays or, when you had baseball games in town. And, fortunately for me, my first job was in Grays Lake. So we live close. So it wasn't really too difficult for my wife and kids to come down to the firehouse or stop by after a baseball game. But yeah, it's just the opportunities that you get to spend with each other as a family and just get the most out of it.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I want to touch on this last bit for sure before our show here is the team bonds and the support. We touched on this quite a bit already, but I was really getting caught up in the tools. We could do a whole other show on tools. But this idea of I agree with you so much about the shared meal is sitting there. So you guys, do you have a designated cook there, or does everyone take turns cooking? What's the deal there?
I think it's just. For us in Lake Zurich, it's, most people take a turn, but some folks do gravitate because they might be a little bit better or somebody else appreciates their cooking over somebody else.
Okay.
There's some departments, bigger cities that they have a designated cook and they'll pick their station or they get put at a station because someone says they're a really good cook.
Wow.
But everybody pitches in the morning and they go out and buy their groceries and come back and do the best they can to put meals together. Crockpots sometimes are a popular item because you can set it and forget it. And if you get interrupted on calls, it's not that much of an inconvenience. But we try and put together as much as we can to eat together. And for the most part, we're pretty good. But like I said, that's one of the sacred times as a firehouse is a mealtime around the kitchen table.
Yeah. Without a doubt, it's got to be such a beautiful time. Because I'll tell you, even in the mornings, I agree with you. There's sometimes I'm at the grocery store and I see the firefighters buying, and it's just the little kid in me lights up, like, hey, they're little firemen, and it's and they're real people. They're shopping, so it is really cool. And again, I have to salute the men and women of Lake Zurich, and I'm going to say just the northwestern community of Chicagoland, is that they're some of the friendliest people. So, I mean, the giving, the selfless people willing to do all this kind of work, they're real people. And I encourage everyone, whenever you see the firefighters, just give them a wave, give them a smile, something like that. Bring them donuts,
Oh, that's for the cops. We don't.
All right, you don't like donuts?
No, I'm not saying we don't like donuts, but
I just want to know what's the go-to meal. If I bring donuts to the cops, what am I going to do to the firefighters?
I mean, ice cream's always a safe bet, but the problem with ice cream is if nobody's there, then we got to figure out how we're going to keep it cold.
So I got to slide a cooler filled with ice cream into the
ice cream, pies, cake, pizzas.
Okay,
we'll pretty much eat just about anything.
Pies might be next to bacon. Pie is one of my favorites, so we might be able to work that out. Okay, so here's this the deep cut question I got for you is when things are tough with you or things are tough with other firefighters. Do you find it easy, and I'm sure some of you find it easier than others, to open up to each other and just say, look, I just got to vent? Like, how do you do that?
Our culture is changing as far as that goes.
Okay.
When I first started, it was just, listen, kid, just suck it up. You'll be fine. We'll go on to the next one. And now we're much more aware of mental health and how it's affecting people, even short term and long term.
Right.
So, that we have a tremendous amount of resources for mental health. I don't know if you're familiar with the 100 Club or the Frontline Care Center that's here in Round Lake. So the Frontline Care Centers has been a fantastic resource, and they exclusively provide mental health services to well, actually all public safety.
Okay.
But that's been a tremendous resource. And I would say that's probably over the last 5 years, maybe 6, has become increasingly important because we're really realizing that there is a lot of long-term issues that are associated with mental health, and it affects you physically. So and going back to the culture now, we're much more open to being open with each other.
Good.
Where in the past it just wasn't like that. And I don't think it was anything intentional. It was just that's just kind of how you grew up. It was like,
right.
We're gonna deal with it, and we're just gonna move on to the next one.
Yeah, suck it up, bury it.
That's a lot of what it is.
Yeah. And I'm glad. I love the fact that, and I agree with you, we've changed that, this idea of making yourself vulnerable, opening up, make that normal. That's just the way we have to be with each other, being able to allow people to reach out to us for help.
Yeah. And I think it's, for us, it's easier for us to open up to each other because we understand. It's harder for somebody that's not in the fire service to really truly understand what we're going through. And that's why, places like the Frontline Center and the 100 Club, that's why it's been such a great resource, because they really get the fire service culture and they get our language. So they're easy to talk to.
Gotcha. I am so glad. What's the name of it again? The
Frontline Care Center. So it's actually right by Ace Hardware off of 134.
Okay, cool. So, is that funded by the city? Is it a not for profit?
You're asking me a question I probably should know the answer to.
No,
I don't think it's non for profit, and I'm not exactly sure. I know there was a lot of donations that helped get it started.
Okay.
And then Cindy's been awesome there to get that place started. So she would probably be a better person. Actually, I'll probably have to get some more information.
All right, no problem.
As far as the funding.
All right. What I do is, after the show, is anyone who's listened to the show knows that they can go to my site, which is masterhappiness.com/live, and you'll find a link directly to a little, let's call it a blog post about the show. We'll kind of break down the show, and I'll have all the links to where you can hear the show on YouTube, where you can find it on Spotify, every place you listen to it. I'll also then dig into this and find those links and see if there's any place, because if people can make a donation like that, there's people like me who sit there going, I'm really grateful for people like you. And I'm like, what can I do? So I'll at least bring a pie. And if I can, I'll make a donation.
Sounds great.
Right?
Thank you.
All right. So what I wanted to do is kind of summarize this. The thing we talked about, the B.A.C.O.N we talked about today, was living in the life of a firefighter, was B is boundaries, is leaving that stress at home, leaving the stress at the station, not bringing it home, making those kind of boundaries. A is appreciate the small stuff. You face some horrific things that the rest of us hopefully never have to face, and you're able to deal with it. So I think appreciating all the small stuff you see on a regular basis, like somebody bringing a pie to the fire station. C is the connection you guys have. I'm going to be honest with you. Every time I've seen this, even when my brother, like I said, when he was a firefighter in the city of Chicago, I'd go over there and you'd see the guys sitting around, like watching TV or eating. And I found myself a little jealous. Like, this is a club I can't enter. I can't join this club, right? And I honor them, and it was so cool. So it's the same thing. You guys have this family connection. All right. O is opening up, and I'm so glad that the atmosphere has changed, that people can open up to each other, and there's additional resources. Okay. And the other thing, to never forget your why, how you started, how you got into this and went into this. So we got a few minutes. Do you have any points you'd want to make? Anything that you think anyone out there needs to know about firefighters?
They need to know about firefighters.
What about the rules? Are people still getting in the way when you're driving down the street?
I mean, that's kind of typical. It just is what it is. It's just something that we deal with.
I hate to say it, but I have a feeling that people get in the way of police cars easier than a firefighter.
Yeah, that's probably true. Probably true. We're a little bigger, a little more obnoxious with the lights and sirens, but it happens. I mean, I think just the way cars are built, sometimes you really just can't hear them. And there's sometimes I'm driving in my car and I'm like, holy, I I didn't even realize they were behind me.
Wow.
All of a sudden they come up on you and it's like, oh, holy cow.
All right. All right. So I'm going to get, only because we got like 5 minutes left here, is I want to go back to this new firehouse. When are they supposed to be breaking ground? I thought they did something like a ribbon cutting or a groundbreaking or something. When is it supposed to start?
Yeah, so we did some preliminary work. The village has purchased a piece of property.
Nice.
Which is really exciting. That's a done deal. That was actually purchased on December 31st of 2025. They did some environmental studies, so that's all in the works to get some mitigation work done. And then now we have the referendum question on the ballot. The board approved it, I believe it was 2 weeks ago. So officially, the referendum question is going to be on the ballot because the village can't spend that kind of money without taxpayer approval. That's just the way the system works. So we're going to have some open houses and talk with people in the community about our challenges with the old fire station and the benefits that the new station will bring to us. So that's kind of our next step.
So it'll be in the election. People will vote on. I'll tell you what. So just really quickly, when you see it, just vote yes. Just vote yes. Don't even worry about it. Take my word for it. Just say yes and move on. Okay.
So the goal is to hopefully, is if everything passes, in the spring, we'll go out to bid and probably break ground, late spring, early summer. And then it's projected it'll take about 2 years for the construction process and for us to finally get to move into the new facility.
Wow. Okay. Cool. And you'll still be around. I mean,
you're not
around.
You're not leaving unless they're going to run me out. But I'm pretty happy where I'm at.
You can. I mean, they need somebody to do the podcast. So,
well, the jury's out on that.
Right. There you go.
Might get a different opinion tomorrow morning when I go to work.
All right. Let me ask you. So, where the station's going to go? There's your guys are going to be on the south side of the railroad tracks, right?
That's correct.
All right.
South side of the railroad tracks.
Right.
In between 22 and the railroad tracks on the west side of Old.
Gotcha. Perfect. And then, so is there anything that's going to happen with the old firehouse that's on the other side of the railroad tracks?
So that's up to the village. Whatever they decide to do with it, we are not going to occupy it. The nice part about building a station at a different facility is that we can still stay in our current one and not have to move out or do temporary, because that just gets to be even more of a challenge and really expensive. So it'll be nice to still operate out of the old facility while we're building the new one. But I don't think there's really any official plans as to what they're going to do with the old building after we're all said and done with it.
Yeah, because then all of a sudden Old Rand Road becomes like a Firehouse Road. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So maybe they'll open the older one up for a banquet hall like they do.
We got the volunteer one.
I know,
so we still got that one on the north side of the tracks.
Right, exactly. Yeah. All right, so Mike, I'll tell you what, I'm so pleased you came here. This has been really cool. Any other words of wisdom? Let's say this. We got, like I said, a couple minutes. I want you to look in the camera, tell the people, tell these young kids about the exciting career benefits or why they might want to look to becoming a firefighter.
I can honestly say there is no job on the planet I would rather do than being involved in the fire service. I mean, I literally, when I thought I punched my ticket, when I got my first job working as a construction manager, I never really realized how great this profession is. I mean, it really is the greatest job on the planet. And if you're considering it, come and talk to one of us. Take a ride along with either Lake Zurich or the community that you live in. The men and women are always willing to help you out and answer questions that you might have. If you're unsure, give you any kind of experience they can. There's opportunities for people to get on part-time fire departments, even up here in Lake County. Take advantage of every opportunity you can to learn about our job and get into the fire service, because I can tell you with, at least as much as I've gained in this almost, it's been 30 years for me. I can't even tell you how grateful I am about the opportunities that I've had in this career.
Gotcha. Any firehouses in Lake Zurich area that still have a fire pole?
We do not have a pole.
Oh, well, see, I was going to join. I was going to join, quit my job and join.
I have to say, there is a disclaimer. We do have a pole, but it's on a trailer and it goes to pub ed events. There's no poles actually in the station.
Okay. All right. I might still take you up on it for the chili and people bringing free pies all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. There you go. There you go. So is a chili also the go-to dish for firefighters?
You know what? I think that
or
Our
is it
guys-
just for the
no,
contests?
No, I think probably contests. Our guys are pretty diverse in what they cook
Yeah.
and what they like. I mean, we have some people that are really, really good cooks. They eat really healthy, and then some are just not very good cooks and they don't eat healthy. I
Nice.
mean, it's just pretty diverse. But I think you find out fast when people don't appreciate your cooking
All right.
because they
Sounds
won't
good.
ask you to do it again.
Sounds good. All right. Again, thank you so very much. My guest today has been Mike Rutkowski, the Deputy Chief of the Lake Zurich Fire Department. This has been an absolutely wonderful conversation. Give me a couple days to get the RSS feed up on our podcast. I'll be putting out this little blog post to explain what we kind of went over. There's been some great stuff. And then if you get a chance, come down to Lake Zurich, stop in one of the firehouses. Maybe they'll give you a ride along. Be sure to bring, if not some chili, bring a pie or two. All right. So again, Mike, thank you so very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope to have you again sometime.
Thanks a lot. I'm in for another one.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.